move to it or no?
May I see it?
Okay, I have two different ones.
Sure.
I have this one and this one.
Sure.
I don't know why I have a small one. This is the one I think that the
Oh, I see. This is.
trainer encouraged.
That's the one the trainer recommended you.
And then I don't know why I bought the small one.
Okay, so you just kind of bought this on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So, this is optional, okay? Because now we've had a shift essentially, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you these two. So those are extra. So the prong collar, I try not to use it, not because it's not effective, but because it tends to be too much pressure. Okay, so through contraction, and then when this closes on Xyla's neck, right, that's also pressure. So then I don't know what's doing the bulk of the work, which is why I like that, just isolate. And if I see like all the dogs, like I got a couple other dogs that are actually being put on prong collars with the remote collar because the remote alone isn't enough. And then we're gonna see what happens once we kick in with this to kind of balance things out. But then it's very clear, like, okay, if I know if I've just been working with the remote solely and we're not getting the results, then I need something else. And then if it gets the result, then I know that the two paired together is what's working, okay? So, in terms of actually using this, if her nervousness with people has been pretty good, where she's just sitting there, I mean, a little bit of a looking is fine, but she's not like doing any of the nervous stuff.
Okay, I would say about half the time she'll sit nicely. I don't know if it's like, because it's a guy or a girl or whatever walking by, or if it's two people. But then there are other half of the times where she'll sit, but she will have their back, she'll sit facing me, so she won't look at them.
Gotcha. Sure. And then and you're letting that go for now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, I've been trying to.
You've been trying to correct her, okay. When you're trying to move her to correct her, is she resistant?
She is, but she'll get up and move, and then, but by the time she like finally sits, like they've passed.
Okay, so in that sense, right, if I'm Xyla and the person's coming, right, or actually, like let's say they're coming this way, right, so she does this. And then all of a sudden they're here, and then you're adjusting her, and then this happens, it's really because they've passed her back. And she's just trying to keep her eyes on them, right? What you're trying to create is she's here, she knows they're coming, but she's still facing this way, right? Because it's her back, she's more vulnerable.
Right.
She's wanting to keep her eyes on the threat at all times. So ideally, you'd want to have this created before they're here. Because this is the breaking point, right?
Yeah.
Where she's like, okay, now you're in my visual, I don't have to worry about being like nervous.
Right.
So how this can help you here is just getting more kind of immediate control. If you want to give it another week, see how she does, and then you can bring this back, and then we can decide from there.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. So, and in terms for her, what I would probably use is, and this one's already fitted to her neck?
No.
It's not?
No.
You just bought this and you just didn't use it?
Yeah.
I gotcha, okay. This one is most likely the one that's gonna really fit her. I feel like this would fit her a bit snug, so you most likely need to buy more prongs. So I would count on having this with you, okay? So I'll give this to you. And then I'll just set this aside. And be careful not to put those in the same pocket because they will get tangled. Okay. Now, does Xyla have a dog bed at home?
Yes.
She does. Okay. Where is it placed currently?
In my room.
Okay, that's fine. Because what we're going to do today is work on stationary work. Okay. So, have you heard of the place command?
Yes.
You have. Okay. Does she know the place command?
No.
She does not. Okay. What is your idea of what place command is?
Like you give her a cue and then she's supposed to go to there and stay there and lay down?
Correct, right? And when she goes to this area, what do you think, aside from staying there, what else should she do?
Lay down.
Okay, what else?
I don't know, is that it? More?
No. So, I'm just, because everybody has a perception of things typically, right? So, and I just like to clarify. So the place command is a favorite of a lot of my clients because it's very easy, it's very lenient, which means less work for you. So if I place Xyla, she can sit, lay down, stand up, play with a toy, chew on a bone, If it's a large place, she could, and there was another dog that she was friends with, she could technically play with that dog within that confined area, right? So place can be anything. It doesn't have to be a dog bed. It can be a towel, it can be a blanket, dog bed. I've had people use ottomans, couches. I had one client that had a really big area rug. And they're like, can that be placed? I'm like, yeah, you know, it just means your dog is capable of walking in a circle within this area rug. So it means go here, stay here, and don't come off until I tell you to. So I liken it to like my mom sending me to my room. Like it was like, go to your room, right? So I could go in and out of my room as I please, but once my mom said like, hey, my friends are coming over and I don't want you to embarrass me, go to the room, I knew I couldn't come out, right? Yeah. And the same thing for the dog. It's kind of like sending them to their room, and they're free to do whatever they want there. They just have to stay within that perimeter, okay? We have two aspects to teaching the place command. One is the send, or her actively going there. The next part is or second half is how long is she there for? So you can work with both at the same time. Okay. A lot of people think first you have to teach the dog to go there. And then after you teach them to go there, which would take a couple weeks, then it's like, okay, now I'm going to have the dog stay there for 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 15, and you kind of building. Go. You can right off the bat do as long as you want, okay? So when we do our boarding trains here, I can't remember if there's any last time when you were in the back space, but you know we have those large columns, and then we have beds just like that next to the columns, and we have leashes wrapped around the columns. And what we do is typically the first thing we teach every dog is to go to place. We teach them the behavior. Once they understand to go there, then we'll go at the end of the session, we'll place them, we'll clip the leash to them, we'll go grab another dog. This dog goes, tries to hop off. They have a leash that restricts them, we remote, they hop back on, and then we work with the other dog. So that's what allows us to work with 5 to 6 boarding trains all at once, because it's like a cheat, if you will, right? And it doesn't affect the obedience. As soon as we remove the leash, if the dog's been conditioned to stay there for 2 to 3 hours, leash to no leash doesn't matter because of the tool that we're using, okay? So it allows us to do some really extensive duration work with dogs. So same thing for you. You'll have a session or two a day where you're teaching Xyla to go to the bed quickly and easily. And then the other half is like, okay, Xyla, sit there while I watch Netflix for the next 2 hours or whatever, okay? And you can pick the length of time. It doesn't have to be small increments right off the bat. When we do this day one, it's 3 hours of duration work, okay? Questions so far? No. Alrighty, so I'm gonna take here, and here, okay? And I'm gonna dip down, just because we're inside. We're at 50, we're gonna go down to 20 here, because I wanna make sure I have connection, right? So 20, dip, 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 dip. A little bit of connection. 25. Tap, 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 tap. 30, tap. There we go, right? So 30, because we're indoors, okay? So most trainers and people, when they teach the place command, they teach it where they'll walk with the dog and they'll start the remoting and they'll just kind of pull the dog on like this, okay? I don't like that approach because I'm like doing half the work, okay? I always want the remote to do as much work as possible. So what I like to do instead is I'm gonna start off a little bit of a distance. So here, 2 squares, we're at 31. Tap, 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 right there, okay? Very subtle leash pressure. So this makes her think. I've had dogs never do any type of training and never been done, like never taught place, and we kick in with this and they just, for whatever reason, naturally will hop on the bed. And then it goes, wow, that's so fast. I'm like, I don't know why, but dogs tend to opt for that decision, which just works for our benefit, right? So here, I'm on 30. I can see Xyla moving around, trying to figure out what do I do here. A tiny bit of directional pressure with the leash, and she starts to go. I let the slack go, but I kept the pressure on until all of Xyla is within the space, right? So if she would have been like this, I would keep tapping until this happens, okay? So once she's been placed here, stay is implied, and we start doing that right off the bat. So now, if I put Xyla, and this happens, tap, 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 tap. I start to move, she gets confused, or she thinks, oh, I should move with you, right? even though I've not put any word to this, the fact that I put pressure behind it is what makes it a command already, okay? As everybody always knows, tap, tap, tap. Jesse, you didn't say anything. So it's not a command. I'm like, no, it's still a command because this made the dog do it ultimately. So like with the heel, day one, we didn't say anything.
Right.
You were just, I told you when, as soon as you start walking and this kicks in, Xyla at that point is here, unless you say break, right? So same concept here. Once I've placed her, I'm not gonna say anything. I don't say no, I don't say stop, I don't say stay. I don't say place because I'm not in the same place in the first place. It's being implied that once I've placed you here, you stay within the confines of the area, okay? We're still at 30. So here, what I'm teaching Xyla is tap, 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 tap. Is to associate that going to this area is another way to turn this off, okay? So this doesn't change in terms of the contraction other than the intensity, okay? But dogs can learn, you know, let's say we have sit, down, heel, place, and come. The way she interprets this is contingent on how does life look at the moment. Right now, life looks very specific. She's on this elevated dog bed, sitting, and the world looks a certain way, okay? When she's walking with you in heel, she's here, you're moving, right? So if she lags, tap means to catch up.
Right.
If you come to a stop and she's standing and you tap, you're not moving, you're here, it means to do this, right? So it's all context space. Same thing here, we're teaching her the context. So, what I'm looking for to create here is two things. One, once I send her there, she stops trying to come off.
Right.
The second thing is go in there easily. So like right now it's taking about 3 to 5 taps, and we want it within 1 to 3, okay? But since we're just teaching this, we always start low, we work our way up. With every command that we teach, if the dog doesn't know it through remote, we always start low, we work our way up. So once she gets conditioned of, oh, this means to also go here, then I start to play with the number and I start to get it within tap, tap, she just kind of shoots there, okay? Questions so far?
No.
Tap, 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 tap. Okay, and you see how the leash was slack?
Yeah.
So she thinks, oh, Jesse's moving again, I'm gonna go to mom, right? Tap stopped her from progressing forward. That was good. She settles back, but still half off. About 2 to 3 more taps. Boom, okay? So that's how I can start telling, or how we can tell kind of our concept of the exercise. And move around. And I like to tap, 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 tap. Move normally. I don't do like slow walking or anything like that, or like the hand like this. I try to be as normal as possible because this tool allows you to cut a lot of things away that aren't necessary, okay? Tap, 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 40, tap, 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 45, tap, 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 50, tap, 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 good. So we're at 52, 3. Slow down a little bit. Good. 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 Break. Good, I'll do a couple more. If she hops on herself, it's okay. Now what we're going to start seeing is when I present her to the place, she's going to start assuming. Okay? So if I bring her here, good, 50, tap, tap, good. If we see Xyla start to go, well, you're just going to tap me and send me and try to go on her own, I would use the leash, no tapping, just to put some pressure to counter her, to get her to hold back, Then I relax, because I want to see her hold it herself.
Right.
I wait, tap, tap, to then initiate the response. Okay? A lot of people, when they bring their dog and they see their dog start going, they just go with it. And they'll tap, and they'll like, the dog did it. I'm like, well, they already assumed, right? I want to always make sure that she's responding because of this, okay? Break. Got a girl. Good. Tip. 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 Good. There. The other thing that I like to do is changing where we're sending her from.
Okay.
Again, we tend to create patterns, and we'll like always send from one direction. So what happens is you drill this out 100 times. So Xyla knows place from here because of the picture, right? So then one day you decide you're coming from the kitchen, place. And she doesn't know what's going on, right? Because she doesn't know the picture. But I bet you as soon as you came over here, there she goes. Okay, break. Got a girl. I'm not worried about heel right now either. The fact that she's on my lap is just gonna have it, so it's real loose. I don't need to auto sit or anything like that, but if she does it, it's okay. Tip, 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 tip. Good. Good girl. Break. Good girl. Tip, 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 tip. Good. Now I did make one mistake, or I did something incorrectly. When I do the break, like on this one, what I did was, as I was walking and I said break as I was moving, I like to pause. Okay, so I'll come here and then issue the break. Because what will happen is if you place her and then you just release her as you're walking by, let's say you're actually using this and you're just walking past her, she's going to assume, right? So coming in and pausing, break, you're just adding kind of a layer of clarification, so she doesn't think every time you go there for a walk by. Exactly. The other thing is, let's say I do walk up, and I go like this. I don't always release. I'll start moving again. Because then, when you go up and pause and then walk away, she's going to assume that you're going to release her again, right? So dogs pick up on patterns really well. And these, like I had one client, we were doing a recall, someone called, and she told me, Jesse, my dog is psychic. And I go, what are we talking about? She's like, my dog knows whenever I'm going to call him. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah. She's like, I do the randomizing like you said, where I'll stop. And every time I'm going to call him, he's already coming. He's psychic, like legit. And I started laughing, and I was like, show me. So what she was doing was, she would walk around, right? Dog was standing. Good. And then when she was going to call him, she would dip her shoulder like that, right? And she did not know this. So every other one was like this, very stoic. And then finally, when she was going to turn to call him, she would always dip down. And I said, your dog's not psychic. Your dog is reading your body language, and you're dipping your shoulder every time you go to do the recall, right? So then when we switched it up and it became this, come, and she kept the same as everything else, all of a sudden the dog's not psychic. Okay? So yes, so they pick up on patterns really well. Tap, 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 tap. Very good. And things like that, right? I set the leash down, take a tangent for a second, go to pick it up. Most dogs assume every time you pick up the leash, we're going. We want to unlearn those things, okay? Because most people do. They pick their leash up, the dog gets up because they know we're going. But we always want her to wait for the cue. The cue or the pressure, okay? So technically me grabbing this leash means nothing, okay? That just makes for less error on her part. And again, dogs thrive with that black and white, okay? Question so far? I'm gonna hand this to you. I'll give you this here, okay? So what I'm gonna have you start with first is going to come in and I'm going to have you pet Xyla. Oh, tap, 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 tap. There you go. Very good. I'll have you wait for a second. I'll have you come in to pet her, right? Just to kind of distract her for a bit and then move away. But you just coming and grabbing the leash goes no, okay? Because again, she's associating. She goes, oh, mom's coming, so we're gonna do something, right? So then, correct, right away you shorten your leash, you started tapping and a little bit of pressure, and then she hops back on, take off pressure and relax. Good, okay? And we're, I think, 50 still?
Yeah.
Yep. So go ahead and move around Xyla for a little bit. This is okay if you stay put. Tap, 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 tap. Good. And let's go ahead and take that from out from under her collar. Now, when you put pressure on her with the leash,
Yes.
what I'm going to have you do is once you can feel the pull, is keep it static.
Okay.
You are lightly bobbing it. Okay?
Okay.
So when you kick in with that pressure or that leash pressure on, right? And you have two things going. You have your leash pressure and you have your remote pressure. So this is staying static, but then you're bobbing on the leash pressure. So then she's like, because if I'm making her sit, right, pull up, tap, tap, as soon as she sits, I relax that leash pressure, it becomes a part of the communication.
Right.
So then here, since it's on and off, it can become confusing.
Okay.
So whenever you kick in with it, even though it was under her arm, it's like she feels something.
Right.
Just keep it static, the amount of pressure you're applying was correct,
Okay.
and then you just keep on with the remote, okay? Yeah, good. Good, good, good. Okay, go to come next to Xyla, and you're gonna praise her, good girl.
Good girl.
You get better.
Oh.
Put some energy in it. Yeah, there we go, good girl. And go ahead and walk around again. Yep. Good. Yep.
That's okay, right?
Yes. Because going to place just means go to this area. She could technically walk, she could technically be standing up and going in a circle as long as she's within that space. Good. Go ahead and come to a pause. And wait a moment. And break.
Break.
Now go ahead and walk away. Break. There we go. So when it comes to the break command, especially with this one, break means you're off the clock, right? So technically, she could stay put, but for the sake of the exercise, you obviously need her to clear off, that I'll keep moving. In some cases, because we're putting pressure behind this, the dog will stay on the bed and go, screw this, because I know you're going to send me here again, and I'm going to avoid the problem. I keep pulling them. I try to avoid the remote.
Okay.
If needed, I'll brace the bed and pull the dog off, and then come back and represent, wait, tap, 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 and send them again, okay? But let's say you're actively using the command and not doing repetitive sends. Let's say she was there for an hour and you said out of break, and she looks at you and goes, I'm just chill. That would be okay. And if she got off 15 minutes later, that would also be okay. Okay? So I'm gonna have you do just a couple of reps of the sends and releases. Correct. Good. That is funny. Good.
good. We'll do 2 more. Getting dizzy?
Right?
Yep, good. And last one. Good. Go ahead and drop your leash. Go ahead and just have a seat. Pretty easy, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. Tip, 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 tip. There you go. Good. So right there, you drop your leash, and this I really don't do until a couple weeks in, but I want to start showing you what it builds to, right? So you do a few reps, all those are good, you drop your leash, you go away. So right there, when you drop the leash, you're changing the picture. She then goes, oh, my job must be done because the leash is on the ground and her inclination is to follow. You turned, you started remoting, you saw her pause, she got off, turned around, and just with no leash pressure, just the remote, went back on. Because for the last 30 minutes, this has meant to go here. So her assumption was to go there, right? On the last send here, you tapped her and she came to a sit, right? And then she was kind of like going like this, wavering before the send actually happened. That's because she got confused. I forgot what it was, but like in that moment, I think when you pulled her back and you tapped, she went into like a heel position because of the leash pressure, right? So then when you started tapping again, she's like, well, are we in heel or are we in place right now? It's normal stuff, okay? It's when we do remote collar work, the more we teach, the more problems we create, okay? So like when we teach the down command, since I teach it from a sitting position, which other trainers will tell you never teach a dog to down from a sit, it's because they're thinking like a trainer, okay? The problem that it creates is every time the dog sits, they'll sometimes lay down, okay? So for a trainer, if you're doing competition, if you're doing ring work, you don't ever want your dog doing that. So by just avoiding it entirely, you reduce the risk greatly of that happening, right? But you're a standard dog owner, all you care about is the dog does it, right? So the way I teach it is, since I'm teaching the down from the sit, the dogs will start to do that. But then we just fix it using the pressure, and we go through what I call clarifying, where the dog makes mistakes, because this, of course, is going to mean several different things. So she's got to interpret according to what life looks like and what's going on with the leash, what to actually do. Okay, so you handled that correctly. Yes, there was a mistap, no problem. You just kept the pressure on. She was like, "What do I do?" There was a bit of guidance. Oh, I'm supposed to go here. Good. Okay, that's how it is. Now you do happen to have a tendency of everything's correct. You're approaching, you're stopping, you're not allowing her to go. But right after you stop her, you wait like about half a second, and then you kick in with the pressure. Okay, so you're doing that repeatedly. So what happens is you're going to stop. You'll delay her with the leash, and within a split second, she's going to want to go again. So after you've stopped her, vary the length of time from the wait to the send. So she's really paying attention to your cue as opposed to a preset, oh, it's 0.5 seconds. Now I move. Okay? Otherwise, everything was exactly how you're supposed to do it. So how can we take with this exercise, okay, we're not talking about time or like don't move from there. That's separate. But with the sends and the breaks, how could you make this more difficult?
More distractions?
Yes, technically, right? Let's say you're in this room, just how it is. How could you make that more difficult?
Don't use the leash.
Hmm?
Not using the leash.
Okay? Between not using the leash and using the leash.
Not guiding her?
Technically, no. But which we're already kind of doing, right?
Right.
You're close.
I have no idea.
So, we've been sending from here,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So it's tap, boom. So this becomes real easy. Leash is not needed anymore, but it's still present.
Right. Oh,
Further,
okay.
further, right? So technically, whoop, if I don't trip, you can send her to place from anywhere, any direction, anytime,
Mhm.
but you have to show her.
Right.
So earlier I said, whatever you do, don't always repeat the same spot.
Yeah.
Change it up.
Right.
So she learns that place means go to this object,
Mhm.
right? But then if we always practice at about a 2-foot distance,
Right,
she can do it at a 2-foot distance, but if you go to 6 feet or by the door here,
right.
it's not gonna happen,
Right.
okay? So then, okay, thank you, is we want to tip, tip, tip. Start making it a little bit further, okay? So dogs learn very quickly. It's the human that takes longer. So when I work with dogs by myself, I'm progressing very quickly within that session, and somebody else might have been seeing like, whoa, you went from here to here, like within 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, because this whole dog was ready. Not every dog will hit the same kind of, how do you say, that go to the same level of understanding.
Mhm.
They're all different, but I can see once they're ready for the next one, and you can see it because of how easy it gets.
Right.
Okay, so if I tap and she just starts shooting there from this distance, clearly it's super easy for her. Now let's go to here. Oh, now let's go to here, right? Right? So, and this isn't bad, but if we keep her at that, that's like training wheels on the bike. If you don't remove them
Right.
at the point where you're ready for it because you're like we're too scared or anything like that, you're stuck.
Mhm.
You don't know how to progress, right? Same thing for the dog. So here, tip, tip, tip. I'm here, but she's like 6 feet away.
Mhm.
And within 3 taps, it started the process. One more, and then the third to actually get her to complete it. Break. Tip, 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 tip. Good. Good. Break. Good. Tip. 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 Good. Like that. Okay? So as soon as I start seeing on one tap, it's really direct as opposed to the 3,
Mhm.
then I start thinking, okay, I'm going to start to challenge you. If I take it a little bit further and it looks like she has no idea what's going on,
Mhm.
it means she's not there yet. So then I just come back to here, practice this some more, and the next time I'll try it here to warm her up, and then go into this to see if she's ready for it. Okay, make sense? So I'm gonna have you do a couple at more of a distance. I'm gonna have you tip, 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 tip. Very good. I'll have you do about 1, 2, 3, 4 square back.
Can I break her from here? Or should
I always break when I am close.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Break.
At least I try to always break because I did another one while I was walking by and it just released her.
4.
There you go. Good.
Break. Okay, awesome.
Good. more.
Break.
Very good. There you go. Good.
Break.
And last one. Very good. So, questions so far?
No.
So now we want to title this because she's doing pretty good. Okay. I call this place. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Excellent. So everything is going to stay the same, except now you have a cue prior to kicking in with the pressure. Okay. So most people's thought process on e-collar or aversives is you give the word, you give the dog time to perform, and then you vibrate or tone a couple of times before you actually kick in with the stim, right? Because it's the word warning, warning, stim. Do this or I'm going to remote you, right? Whereas we've always just jumped straight to the remote. So it's going to be the same process here. Once you cue the word place, remote's going to immediately kick in until she does the behavior itself. So we want her to start thinking place, she just starts moving, okay? Questions?
No.
All right, and break.
Break. Place.
Good.
Break. Place.
Good. You have 50 right now?
Yes.
Let's try 58. I want to see if we can get a little bit more speed from her.
Break.
Pretty good.
Place.
Yeah, do two more.
Break. Place.
Good. Still slow, right? You're at 58?
Yes.
Let's go to 70.
Break. Place. I went up on that.
It's okay. Because you have to stretch, right?
Yes.
I'll take care. So we went to 70, right? And her response is still fairly slow.
Yes.
Okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if we were like at the 100 and something range before we start to see a little bit more pep in her step. Okay? Go ahead and sleep. So, right now, because we're just teaching this, I was just experimenting. I typically give dogs a week to learn something, and it takes 2 weeks, in my opinion, for a dog to kind of fully associate something. Okay, this is assuming the person is really doing their homework,
Right.
at least, a few times a day. So I'm not too worried about it, but I like to just kind of, again, progress as the dog is. So with teaching the place command, that's this exercise. When you do this at home, 2 to 3 times a day, 3 to 5 minutes a session. You're just trying to make it easy. Place, right? She just goes. It doesn't have to be locked in a single spot. So let's say you take her dog bed, and in your room it's in a certain position, and you move it to the living room, it's in a certain spot, in the dining room, and then maybe go to your parents' house and use a certain spot. That makes it easier, because she learns to associate, in this room it's here, in this room it's here, in this room it's here, at grandma's it's here, right? So that's fine. Or you can teach her just to recognize the place itself. So if you're using the same exact object, you can have it in your room, but in different spots, right? So you're just moving it around. So then she starts to, when she hears place, you'll see her scout, there it is, and she'll run to it, okay? There's no right or wrong, it's just whatever the person wants. Let's say you want to have a place in each room, and you buy 3 more dog beds. You can do that. Place, again, doesn't have to be a bed. It can be a towel, it can be a blanket, it can be a floor mat, a rug, an ottoman, a couch. It's just something that's got a perimeter that she can go on, okay? So a lot of my clients will get a towel or a blanket, and they'll keep it in their car, and whenever they go to a friend's house, they'll just take out the blanket and throw it on the floor, and they'll place their dog. Now, when you are teaching a new object to be placed or become placed, you have to do a few reps. So she starts understanding, okay, this is just like the dog bed. When it comes to her body and being within the area, let's say she's laying down and her paws are off and touching the ground, and she's sleeping. She's sleeping, there is no intent of trying to sneak off. But my Pitty, when she was a puppy, when I first taught her this, I would place her in my room, I would go to the kitchen and make a sandwich, and I would come back, and she'd be like this. Okay, she'd be sleeping on the ground with one foot touching the bed. So that's sneaking off a place, okay? Or you'll see the dog, they'll be on there, 30 minutes go by, and then they'll do, you just kind of start to see them sneak away. You're correct, because the intention that they're intending to get off of it, okay? If they just happen to be off of it, it's okay, as long as it's not earlier when she was half on, half off, I corrected that, okay? Now, if the object itself is too small for her to be there comfortably, I would consider just getting a bigger one, okay? So now, when it comes to the duration aspect of it, I can think of myself as the lazy man's dog trainer. So if I know I'm gonna watch Netflix for 3 hours or whatever, do a Friends binge or what have you, call her up, leash her up, send her. So if this is my couch, she's here, and I step on the leash. I just watch TV. 30 minutes goes by, tries to sneak away, I remote, don't do anything else, see if she self-corrects. If she gets confused, or maybe she tries to make a run for it, I'm stepping on the leash, can't go anywhere, grab, a little bit of pressure, hop back on, go back to watching TV. Hour goes by, repeat, okay? Once I decide I'm done, break, and she's all set, right? Let's say you want her to do 2 hours, but an hour in, you decide you want to get water. What I would do in the first phase is release her first, get up, get your water, come back, replace her, and then go back to watching TV, okay? I don't want to get up and then release, because then she's going to start assuming every time you stand up, she's going to get released, right? So we're just trying to avoid the problem. So during this first week, you're always practicing with her in your immediate space, okay? I don't want to have her here and be in a couch 12 feet away, because if she gets up, you have to correct her, and if she tries to make a run for it, you then have to catch her, walk her all the way back, right? So I want to make it easy. So what we're doing here is, kind of earlier, when you dropped the leash and walked away, and she tried to sneak off, and you turned and tapped, without touching the leash, she went back, right? Because she's starting to associate this. So you're spending the whole week just creating that association. Then the second week, I go place, and then I get up to get water, but I don't release her, okay? Because now it's going to be easier, just like it was that one time earlier today. Then the third week is, okay, now you're placed away from me, but still at a reasonable distance. Because if you put her too far away and like people go into the other room, like they're trying to push for it, and they're like complaining because they have to walk their dog all the way back 20 times. And I was like, because you're skipping steps, right? If we do it gradually, it's just very easy. Then by the 4th week, she's away from you. We may not need the leash at that point because you've done so many corrections and so much conditioning that when she either, 1, doesn't try to get off, or 2, if she does, tap, she just hops back on, no problem. Okay? Questions? So this you can practice indoors. So if it's a really cold day, if you see Xyla just understands place and is going there no problem, you can change it up by moving it around different rooms until she gets a really solid understanding. Once you feel like she's at that point, you don't have to do those little 3 to 5 minute training sessions. Then it just go to application, okay? In terms of how much you should use this, as much as you want, okay? So if you're wanting the life of going to a restaurant, you're bringing Xyla with you, and she's not dog reactive, and she's just chill, hanging out, you want to do all the work now. Because the problem with duration work is that it's so easy that people put it off. And they're thinking, I can do that anytime, right? They come to spring or summer and they want to go to the restaurant, they take their dog, and like, oh, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? Jesse did it months ago, and there's been no work, and all of a sudden, I'm getting an email going, Jesse, I took my dog to the patio, it was terrible, I couldn't enjoy my meal. And then I'll ask them, did you practice? The answer is no. So, you don't have to do this every day. So just think to yourself, if the life that you would like to have with Xyla is very interactive and her being present with you, you want to practice more than not, okay? And if you know, I would need her to not move for 3 hours minimum, you want to be in that 2 to 4 hour range, okay? Unless I do it every day, but you want to practice that on a somewhat regular basis. Because if you only do 30 minutes every day and then one day you decide 3 hours at a friend's house, it's not going to happen, right? So we had a client, we did a board and training with their dog, and they had a daughter, and the dog was growling and snapping at the daughter when she would run. So, when they brought him here for the training, we did a ton of this. So when they picked up the dog, and the kid would be running around, the dog was just chill. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna be here, this is my job, and you do your own thing, right? And because I know with kids, people need more control than they think they do when it comes to their dog, that we really exaggerated it so that it minimizes their work. So kind of same thing here for you. The more you do it now, the easier it gets out in the real world when there are distractions and things like that. Okay? Other questions? No? Feeling good?
Yeah.
All right. So, good. And things like this too, right? Let's say you get up from the couch, but you don't release her, and kind of test to see if she's going to prematurely, are things that you can, right, also do. They catch her off guard. Okay? Here you go, and here you go. Very good. She's doing good.